Hello aspirants and welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this current affairs lecture, we will be taking a look at a terrifying news, but not for us, for the neighboring country, that around 2,500 soldiers of Pakistan has resigned. Now, what is the reason for this resignation? Are they protesting against certain things or wrongdoings or ill treatment or lack of development, lack of salary, lack of perk, etc.? No, it's not the case. So we'll see what the issue actually is. So before we go into the detail, let us understand the situation of Pakistan first. See, in Pakistan, a Pakistani citizen itself is in danger, in the sense that it is very difficult for them also to roam freely. That is the situation of Pakistan. Of course, we know that there was previously, there is presently, and in the it's very hard to say that it will ever stop or when will it stop, but we know that there is ongoing atrocities on the minorities. Definitely that is there, but not just that. The atrocities are there on that, but when you talk about the Pakistani citizens, which are a part of majority themselves, they are also not safe in Pakistan. That is the kind of situation which is there. Why are they not safe? What is happening with respect to them? See, Pakistan is sort of on the verge of being bankrupt. In fact, they are sort of bankrupt kind of a situation wherein the jobs are not there, money is not there, GDP is not doing well, nothing is working well on the economic front. So when such a situation comes, an average Pakistani citizen goes out of the house, let's say wearing a gold chain or something, what happens? People snatch it. Now, I do understand these kind of situations happen elsewhere as well. It is present in India as well. Chain snatching is happening. In fact, as we speak, there have been recent incidences in certain places which are coming up, but the police is now taking vigilant action towards that, and we may be able to curb it down as well. But these are far-fetched or far off things that are incidences that are there. In Pakistan, that is a situation of an everyday affair, so much so that people have started wearing imitation jewelry instead of the actual gold jewelry, or completely stopping to wear them altogether. So even an average Pakistani citizen is scared to go out, let alone let's say someone from outside Pakistan going into the country of Pakistan. Now that is why, when India was rejecting to play in Pakistan, there were cricketers from Pakistan who said, why are you rejecting? We have so much of security, this, that. But look at what is happening. Their own citizens were not safe. Now the army is resigning. Why? Because the army itself is, to an extent, we can say, is scared and considers itself not to be safe. Yes, you heard it right. That is exactly what the situation is. So what is the news all about? The Pakistani army and security forces, they are experiencing a slew of attacks over the past few months. So these attacks are from whom? These are from the extra state actors. It is not from any other country's army. It is from within. It is by the BLA, that is Balochistan Liberation Army. So it has the name army in it, but as per Pakistan, it is the extra state actors, because they do not have the legal statutory backing of an actual army that Pakistan army has. So this Balochistan Liberation Army has conducted a lot of attacks. It has conducted the hijacking of train, various attacks on army personnel, so on and so forth, because of which the Pakistani army personnel have lost lives, have dismembered their body parts, so on, got themselves injured, so on and so forth. Now, because of the slew attacks in the past few weeks, it is said that a significant number of Pakistani soldiers have resigned, and that number is estimated to be close to 2,500. And this is why the Pakistani soldiers are resigning. So let's go into the detail of this as to why exactly it is happening. Are there any other reasons also? What the future beholds for Pakistani army? Before we do that, a very important announcement about the regular batches that are going to start from 17th April as well as 15th May 2025 for the students preparing for 2026 and beyond. These regular batches go on from Monday to Friday, having two sessions from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the second one from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is going to holistically cover your entire UPSC syllabus. for prelims as well as mains. You will be given guidance for personality test as well. It will consist of the reading material, the study material, basically prelims test series, mains test series, everything that you can think of that is required for you to crack UPSC Civil Services examination. Now, these regular batches are good for aspirants who are full-time. If you are not a full-time aspirant, if you are, let's say, a working professional or a college-going student, then you can enroll for the weekend batch, which starts from 19th April. This batch goes on 2 days, that is Saturday and Sunday, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The things that are covered, the provisions that are there remain the same. It's just that the days are different depending upon the type of aspirant you are. So make sure that you enroll before the respective batches start. Having said that, for this year prelims aspirants, very important to attend the All India Prelims Mock Test Series organized by Legacy IAS Academy. You will be getting your All India rank. You will be provided with instant solution and explanation, as well as you can attend the discussion, live discussion that will be there, which will be very beneficial to for your actual UPSC Civil Services examination. So make sure you enroll for this and attempt the All India Mock Test Series. Having said that, let's now move on or develop on the news at hand. So, are there any possible reasons responsible for it? Of course, there is growing insecurity in the country's army. One, we saw the Balochistan Liberation Army army's attacks. Then there is continuous deaths of the soldier because, of course, of these attacks. Then you have the worsening economic situation in the country of Pakistan. So these are the reasons. So you can go for better prospects tomorrow. The government of Pakistan may not even have money to pay their army, let alone other people. So that is also a possibility. Now, because of all this, soldiers are increasingly unwilling to fight amid this violence and insecurity. Now, this is one of the most terrible situations for a country to be in, wherein your army is unwilling to fight. See, because army provides the sacrifice of probably the highest order. Army is an institution, an organization of the utmost highest level of principles. But as we have seen historically as well, you cannot, you do have principles, but different armies behave differently. For example, when you talk about the Indian Army takes care of the democratic principles and values and safeguards the citizens as well as civilians, the civilian government, the borders, we safeguard it. But when you look at the Pakistani army historically have done very things that are anti-democratic in nature, turning the democracy itself, trying to rule instead of the democratic government. So you just actually don't know whether it's the democratic government that is ruling or the army that is ruling. So somewhat the principles were to an extent already compromised with respect to what principles there should be with respect to a proper army principle. Right now, it is not very, you can say, shocking to see that this kind of thing is happening, because the principles were already compromised, and now when you realize that things are getting worse, you are running away, is what is being seen over here. So they are unwilling to fight. So what about the oath you might have taken to serve the nation, to serve the people, to sacrifice your life for the nation? Now, it is not to say that that's an easy task. It's very easy for me to stand here and say that, but I am comparing this army with the army personnel only, and not with respect to a common citizen like probably some of us or many of us. So since we are talking about the army, we are going to compare it with the principles of army, where it is falling way short, as it is unwilling to fight amid the violence and the insecurity. Now, of course, the deteriorating security situation in Pakistan, it is breaking the morale of the soldiers, and the economic situation is not much. So the amount of investment can go on to increase the personnel, increase the resources, improve the technology will also not be there, as a result of which the mass exodus is happening, which raises the question about the strength of the Pakistani army. Now, the question is, when they are resigning here and the economic situation is also not good, so where are these army soldiers going? They are going to the Middle East countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait and UAE for work. So it's not that they are leaving the army and staying in Pakistan. They are probably so scared that they don't even want to stay in Pakistan. Of course, because of insecurity, safety and security is the reason, but also because of economic backwardness or economic slowdown or the verge of bankruptcy is what we are talking about. So they are going into the Middle East region. Now, of course, they are choosing financial security abroad rather than risking their lives in their own country. So this is what is happening. Now, what are the impacts of this? Now, this particular thing is happening at a time where Pakistan is facing the highest challenges with respect to security. So it's not a good time for this to happen. In fact, the reason itself is this. Now, of course, this could impact the operational capability of the Pakistani army in the future. It will definitely impact because it will become leaner and thinner and, of course, less capable of, averting any attack, defending itself, so on and so forth. Now, to compare the Indian army and Pakistan army slightly, this is the comparison. Now, why this comparison? Because when you're talking about 2,500 soldiers leaving, making it even thinner, you need to see that the base of the Pakistani army itself is smaller. It is already way weaker, way smaller than Indian army. And on top of that, this exodus happens, which will further make the Pakistani army more and more weak. Now, having said that, let's have a comparison. The budget of Pakistan for its defense is just $6.5 billion as compared to India, that is $75 billion in this particular fiscal. So it's more than 10 times. We have around 1.4 million officers and soldiers as compared to just 6.5 lakh active soldiers for Pakistan. Now, we can argue that this number is just slightly more than double, wherein India's population is way high, but at the same time, the capability of India is way higher. So these 1.4 million soldiers will be, if you compare it with respect to capability, would probably be better than if 1.4 million soldiers would have been there. Because one thing you can clearly see is the morale of the Indian army as compared to the Pakistani army, as well as the equipment, the resources, the material resources that we have as compared to what Pakistan has. Moving ahead, this 1.4 million excludes the reserves and paramilitary forces. If you include the reserves and paramilitary forces, it actually goes above 4 million. Now, when you talk about the aircraft, India has over 2,200 aircraft, that is number 4th in the world as compared to Pakistan's 1,434 aircraft only. When you talk about the tanks, India has over 4,500 tanks, which ranks it 6th in the world, whereas Pakistan has less than 4,000 tanks. Not quite far, but still, of course, lesser. So, of course, this is also quite a high number. Definitely, with respect to tanks, it is actually a high number if you talk about, but India is higher here as well. If you talk about the armored vehicle, India has 1.5 lakh. Pakistan has 1/3 of India. If you talk about the fleet of ships, India has over 290, whereas Pakistan has just 114. So close to 1/3. Now the final thing, Indian Navy is considered to be a blue water navy, whereas Pakistan Navy is green water navy. So what is the difference? A blue water navy. India's navy is blue water, means Indian Navy is capable of conducting international operations in international water for a long distance, whereas Pakistani Navy is just a green water, meaning restricted to its littoral areas only. Localized regional operations only can be conducted. Deep ocean, deep water, far-flung operations cannot be conducted. It is not capable. So already it is way weak, and what is happening now is only going to make it weaker in the future. Thank you.